So if I'm going to translate this for you guys, the most successful people know that the this like confuses the shit out of me. What's up guys, welcome to this video, and I'm going to be talking all about time management tips, tricks, hacks. Literally, you guys all know, you see the most successful people out there today. The one thing they all have in common is their time management. I'm going to be going through my top 7 tips, and they're not the usual ones that you see out there. Yeah, I did a lot of research prior to this as well because I wanted to know what other people were putting out there. And so these are the things that you won't commonly see as well. So I can guarantee you're going to pick something up really valuable from this one video. Now, a lot of you guys know that follow my content. I built my business up to healthy 5-figure months within the first year, and I did that pretty much through optimizing. Y'all know that I am an optimizing queen, and I do this with my time management as well. So I don't realize I do a lot of this until I start speaking to other people, and then I start analyzing my brain. I'm like, oh yeah, actually, like, I'm fully into this. I'm like in deep and I don't even know. Now, through analyzing, I've plucked a few of these things out of my head so that I can get it out into the tangible world and share this with you guys. So stick around, because this is going to be an absolute game changer when it comes to actually your overall quality of life. Because once you get better at time management, you will watch everything else unfold that is good in your life. You will find that you have more time to do the things that you love. You'll find that, you know, through optimizing your time management, you have less stress, you're a lot happier, you have more time for your friends and your family and doing the things that you love as well, and you'll probably end up enjoying the thing that you're trying to time manage for as well, whether that's work, study, whatever it is. So stick around, this is going to be a goodie. So first and foremost, what are the 7 time management tips and tricks that I have for you guys? So number 1 is organize your work around your energy levels. Everyone has different energy levels, different cycles. Some of us are great at waking up at 5 a.m. and others not so much. You know, we might want to sleep in till 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and we find we're more productive in the evening. So first and foremost is know your energy level. For you, those of you that are like, well, how the hell do I know my energy level? Well, intuitively, you'll probably know anyway. If you're someone that naturally wakes up early and you have a good, like, if you do with the right things, you have a good sleep routine, exercise, blah, 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 and you naturally wake up early, awesome, that's probably for you. If you're someone that finds you're quite slow in the morning, you like to take things easy, then you're probably more of a productive person in the afternoon or the evening. So with this, you want to schedule your hardest tasks, or the things that you're not so into, you know, perhaps in those times where you're not at your highest productivity level. So in saying that, when you're at your most productive energetically, you want to be doing the things that perhaps you wouldn't be wanting to do when you're, you know, a little bit flat or getting to the end of the day. Okay, so make sure that you're, like, for me, for example, I've discovered, you know, within the last few months or even the last year, that I am my most productive when I first wake up. So I like to get at my laptop and be, you know, smashing out some, you know, at least a couple of hours work by 7 o'clock. So I might work 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock or something, then I have a bit of a break, etc., eat in between, and then by the afternoons, like, I usually go to the gym around 1 or 2, and then, you know, I might do a bit of work after that, but I'm useless in the evening, so I don't even bother with that. So everyone is different. If you do want to dive in, and if you're into personal development and you want to go down rabbit holes like I do, then you will do well with looking up epigenetics and also human design. There are 2 modalities, a lot of them, one's based on physicality, the other on energy, and so you can actually find out what your energetic type is and when you're most productive through these modalities. I'm not going to dive into that because that's like a whole entire course on its own, but feel free to go and do that research yourself. Okay, number 2 here of my tips and tricks is to have a to-do list, and not just any to-do list, because that's just kind of boring, right? Like, I'm talking a to-do list on steroids, and this is called the Eisen matrix. I've been using this for the last couple of years, and it is a to-do list which is kind of in a quadrant. Okay, it's a quadrant, and basically what you're doing is you have your urgent and important tasks, and then you have your urgent and then you have your important, and then you have your non-urgent and non-important tasks as well, okay? So you've got these 4 quadrants, and by basically you're triaging your to-do list, okay? So if I've got my 4 quadrants, I'm like, oh shit, I have to make some YouTube videos today, because if I don't get them out by today to my video editor, then they're not going to be out by next week. So that's going into my urgent and important, like that needs to get done today. Or if there's a client issue that needs to be resolved, that needs your attention, you're going to be putting that in the urgent and important. And by having these different quadrants as well, so for something that's important, you know, you can do, that's on the do it later list, okay? It's not urgent. The urgent and important is do it now, important is do it later. The urgent and then unimportant, you might want to be delegating that list there. And then all the things that are unimportant and also not urgent, you can either, one, ask yourself, do I really need to do this thing if it's not urgent or important? And 2, if you still want to get it done, you can look at delegating that as well. So it's just, yeah, it's a bit of a triaging system or a filtering system to help you figure out, what do I need to be focusing on right now? And it's a really great way of, you know, setting your goals. And, you know, it's great to, you know, there's so many studies that say having a to-do list and ticking things off is really good for productivity. You know, you feel like you've achieved something after it, okay? And once you can cross through or do that tick, anyway, I know I feel that way for sure. So the Eisen matrix has been a game changer for me. Number 3 here, this is a really simple concept, and there's literally entire books that have been written upon this one concept, but it is focus on one thing, aka multitasking is bullshit, okay? The only time you can ever multitask is when you're doing something mindless, okay? As in like ironing the t-shirt whilst watching the TV or something. Like you can get away with multitasking then. Otherwise, if you are doing anything that requires your undivided attention, whereas you need to be focused, you can't multitask, okay? And if you are doing it, it's one, going to take you shit tons longer, and 2, it's probably going to be not very high quality. So rid the idea that you can multitask, because that's not a good idea for anyone. Needless to say, there have been so many studies out there as well by neuroscientists that say and have the evidence that we can actually only focus on one thing at a time. And so once we get that into our brains, right, and we make it habitual, and I'll be getting into how you can do this in the next steps, you actually find that when you're focusing on the one thing, and if you go off track of that one thing, you can pull yourself back in and say, oh shit, okay, the one thing. Come back to the one thing, finish that thing. Hell, give yourself a timer if you need to. But at any given time, you want to focus on the one thing. Use your Eisenhower matrix to-do list. Have, you know, circle a few things on there of what you want to do for that day and have achieved by that day. Then focus on that one thing within your time limit until that thing is done. Okay, number 3, and this is something that I haven't seen on any other research when it comes to how to be productive and have good time management, is having exercise within your life or having some sort of movement. So you don't need to be signing up to a gym or doing anything too gnarly, but just moving, whether that's getting up, going for a walk, having a dance, whatever it is for you. There needs to be some type of daily movement within your day. You know, I know it feels counterintuitive, like, oh, the more I move and the more energy I expend, you know, the more tired I'm going to be or the more fatigued I'm going to be, but it's actually the opposite. So, and this is again being proved through so many studies that, you know, if you're getting to the afternoon, for example, and you feel like, you know, you're coming to that 2 or 3 o'clock slump, simply going out for a walk in nature or moving your body a little bit can actually, you know, make you feel a lot more energized and rejuvenated and more switched on to get back to, you know, that work that you were trying to get to. So this is a great time management tool because, you know, we've all got 24 hours in the day, right? And so if we want to make better use of that time and have higher quality use of those 24 hours, definitely having some sort of movement within your daily regime is going to be a game changer. Okay, number 5 here is learn to outsource and to delegate as well. So when we're in our businesses, we often think that we have to do all of the things. This is nowhere near the truth. You know, we might be of the mindset of, you know, only I can do it this way, or no one else can do it as good as what I can do, etc. Blah, 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 getting in our ways. Get rid of those limiting beliefs, work on that stuff, learn to delegate and outsource that which is not conducive to your time well spent. For me, for example, I think about what are the things that I actually like to do within my business. I love doing collaborations. I love the creatives and I'm great at starting projects, but I am shite at the execution and the delivery, hence why I hire a team to help me out out with that execution and delivery and actually finishing those projects. Okay, so figure out what you're really good at. What do you like to do? What are the things that you shouldn't or can't be doing? And then think about how you can actually start to delegate that to either somebody on your team, or look at hiring your first virtual assistant to give you a hand with that. There are so many medial and tedious things, repetitive things within our business that we should not be getting caught up doing, right? So a really good way to think about this as well, if you haven't heard of this, is Pareto's law. So the 80-20 rule, which is basically that 20% of the actions create 80% of the results, and the other 80% of the actions only account for 20% of the results. So if I'm going to translate this for you guys, the most successful people know that the top 20% of actions that produce the 80% of the results is what they're focusing on. Okay, they're not focusing on those other 80%, right? They're delegating the rest. Number 6 is to automate the repetitive tasks as well. Whether you're at work or within your own business, there are ways that you can, a lot of ways, hundreds of ways that you can automate things within your business, which is super time savvy. So there are apps out there like Zapier. If you haven't heard of them, go and check them out. I know that they pretty much the leading software when it comes to automation, and there's lots of other ways to automate within your business as well. So think about your social media posts. You can schedule these posts in advance so that you don't need to be hopping on every day and do a post at a particular time. You can have scheduling tools. Email, there's lots of ways to automate email as well, and responses and forms that come in and documents. So just get a little bit creative with, get into Google and say, how do I start automating my business, or automate my business with Zapier, and see what comes up. Okay, if you're using a particular software, whether it's Google Workspace software, and perhaps you're using Slack for your communication, look at the different ways that you can automate between Slack and Google Workplace, because there is a lot. So start just thinking outside the box a little bit with what are you currently doing right now, day after day after day after day, and is there a way to automate that thing? Because more than likely there is. And if it's a repetitive thing and you can't automate it, that's when you look at delegating it to like a virtual assistant or something. And number 7, guys, is to eliminate distractions. I know that's said all the time, but it's easier said than done. And so there are things out there that can help you with the eliminating of distractions. And when I say distractions, I'm talking about like people as well. So people that like penetrate or like come into your vortex and they're like, hey, do this thing for me. If you're not like, if you're like in focus mode and like your head down, bum up into your work, then it's just about setting healthy boundaries and saying like, oh, actually I'm kind of in the middle of this, can I get back to you within like an hour or so when I'm finished this thing up? Especially if you are working for yourself, like you need to be savage with your time. Time is our most valuable commodity, right? I would say start eliminating distractions. There are apps out there and little Chrome extensions that you can get as well that will help you to eliminate apps like Facebook, social media, all that stuff between certain times. So if I don't personally do that, but I do know a lot of people that do that as well. There is also timers that you can get. There's something called Pomodoros where so the Pomodoros extension, and basically just gives you breaks between your work. It's a timer and it alerts you when to focus and when to take like a 5-minute break. So I've used that kind of sporadically over the last couple of years. I don't use it all the time, but these are ways that you can look at eliminating distractions and really just focusing on that one thing as well. Also, if you already do have a team, being really specific with them and saying, hey, this is when I'm in work mode. I'm going to be free from this time in the morning and then this time in the afternoon if you guys have any questions or if we need to do meetings and stuff. Okay, so yes, really just setting healthy boundaries with yourself and with your team and with other people around you as well. So having all these time management tips and tricks and hacks is awesome, but how do you stay productive? Number 1 is not making a to-do list. We've spoken about this. Have your to-do list. It gives you goals, helps you to feel achieved at the end of the day. Have your to-do list there. Pitfall number 2 is people multitasking. I've spoken in depth in this in the previous points, so stop multitasking. It's not a thing. Get that out of your vortex and your vernacular. Stop saying that you're a multitasker, because no one's a good multitasker, and just retire that so that you can start focusing on that that one thing. And pitfall number 3 is not actually knowing how long certain tasks take. So this can be a massive productivity killer, because you might start one thing and then figure out that the thing that you thought was going to take an hour is actually going to take like 3 days. So before you're starting any one project or any one task, have a really good think about, okay, what are the components within this task, and how much of my time and attention and energy does this require, and have a bit of a ballpark. If it's taking longer than you thought, then reassess that and then add on extra time. So try and get a really clear picture of how long any one thing is going to take you as well, especially when you are working with teams, because obviously you're working as a team and you need to be on the same page with deadlines, etc. Now, with point number 3 above, I mentioned do one thing at a time. So one way that you can really effectively do this is by time blocking as well. This has been such a game changer for me. So how do you time block? Well, if you do this effectively, you can pretty much get something that would take someone 60 hours a week to do. If you time block effectively, you can actually crush that down to 40 hours a week. Now, this technique seems so simple on the surface, but it really has the profound ability to make a huge impact on how you live your everyday life and how you get things done as well, because it's really focused on promoting the deep work. When we're in the zone and we're in flow, that's when we get stuff done. So time blocking is going to help anyone that feels like they're always juggling their different responsibilities and tasks that they have to do, or you find that you're always getting caught up in your inbox and your emails, or responding to teammates, and you're constantly just like responding back to people. Like, you're spending so much time in reactivity instead of productivity. So if you find that you're constantly being interrupted for your day and you're not feeling excited because you don't have the time to have the big thinker, creative, time blocks to actually go deep into the work and figure out what you want to do, then time blocking is going to be a game changer for you. For example, if you look at my calendar, you'll see that certain times are blocked out throughout the day, and in the morning it might be like meditation, eating my breakfast. You should actually time block out your lunch as well. Time block out your lunch so that no one can be booking in meetings with you at that time, because that's your time to really come back and rest. Sometimes the most productive thing that we can do is rest and take a nap. Okay, and we need to be really mindful of this, because we live in such this romanticized hustle sort of society these days. So really taking that time to actually step back and give yourself that rest and those periods where you can rejuvenate is going to make the rest of your day so much more productive. So start by time blocking. In the evening you might have spending some time with the kids, or eating dinner with the family, or whatever it is. So I'm not going to dive too deep into the time blocking and exactly how to do that, but I would recommend just starting by blocking out stuff on your calendar. Review it every week or every couple of weeks. Set your week up for success. Like I said, there are entire books on this. I'm sure there's lots of other YouTube clips out there and videos as well. So if you want to deep dive into the nooks and crannies of that, then yeah, please be my guest and do that on another research. So what about time management tips for work? So everything that I've mentioned previously in my 7 tips and tricks definitely be related to business and work. But the thing that I would probably emphasize here is the automation and the delegation part. And next to that, I would also encourage you to figure out what you're actually spending most of your time on now. Some people might call this a time audit, call it whatever you want, but I would actually go through and look at where are you spending most of your time right now. I would also go through and look at the business processes that you have right now, and what are the things that are taking up most of your time? What are the things that are repetitive and that you can easily outsource or delegate? You want to identify all those time sucks and be able to focus on the activities that bring you the greatest return. If you do need a hand with this, I do have a delegation cheat sheet, which has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs by now. So if you're wanting to dive a little bit deeper and you're serious about the delegation and the automation part, and just drop a comment below with delegation cheat sheet. I check these comments every single day. So once you drop that comment there, I'll get it over to you ASAP. Time management for students, I would say all of the 7 tips and tricks, and in addition to that, I would also say get a really clean, tidy, happy work study place, a dedicated work study place. And this goes for people that are working as well, especially all of those people that are now working at home, is you want to have a dedicated space that kind of inspires you. You don't want to be in like a dark room with no airflow, with no light, because it's not going to be very inspiring. In my previous house, it wasn't very flowy or airy or light at all, and so I spent a lot of time actually working outside of the house. I would be out in the garden, or I would set up somewhere else where there was light coming in, or I'd go out to a cafe. So just make sure you have like a dedicated workspace there. And the second part to this is also work out your optimum study method. We've all got different ways of studying that work best for us, whether that's studying at home with some music on, or whether that's going to the library and being in a quiet space. Do whatever you need to do, okay? When I spent about 4 or 5 years of my life doing university studies, and so I found that actually leaving the house 2 to 3 times a week and going to the library, I found this really cool little spot, which it was kind of like in a garden that had some light coming through. Like, that was really inspiring for me, and I found I got shitloads done as opposed to being at home, and I'd be sitting in there in like this dark room and not really happy, and I'd, you know, make myself 8 cups of tea, and you're just so distracted at home as well. So try breaking that cycle and leaving the house as well if you do need that extra inspo there. So to recap, guys, the easy time management tips, tricks and tools that I've gone through is number 1, knowing your energy type. Check out human design or epigenetics if you want to dive deeper into that. Number 2 is Eisen matrix to-do list. Number 3 is the 80-20 rule, Pareto's law. 4, time blocking. 5, exercise. 6, outsource, delegate and automation. And number 7, get rid of all the shit that distracts you. Now, before we wrap this up, I know some of y'all are really keen to do a little bit of a deeper dive into time management, and actually reading a book or even listening. I'm shit at reading books. I like to listen to audiobooks, but that could be really helpful with like really just getting the message across. So 2 of the recommendations that I would give you is The One Thing. It's by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And number 2 is The Deep Work by Cal Newport. 2 really, really good books when it comes to time management, time blocking, productivity, all things efficiency and optimizing. So if you want to dive a little bit deeper, go check those audiobooks out or buy the book and read it. So on that note, that is a wrap for this video. Hope this has been really valuable for you. If it has, there's a lot of time and energy that goes into the creation of these videos, and I would love if you could give me a thumbs up, like this video, and also subscribe to my channel. It helps me to reach more people like you. Be sure to hit that bell to be notified when my next video comes out, where I'll be sharing with you guys exactly how I use Trello for project management, to manage teams, to manage my time, and to optimize things as well. So hit that bell so that you can get notified when that video comes out first. And again, if you do want that delegation cheat sheet, just drop a comment below. I'll get that to you really, really quick, because I am checking those comments every single day and responding as soon as I can. And in the meantime, while you're waiting for that next video to come out, check out a couple of these. I know they're going to be really valuable, full of golden nuggets for you as well. And again, thank you so much for your time, and I will see you on the next one.